The following is a conversation with Zinadelphia. She is an indie artist who leans into this neo-soul space but infuses jazz and funk as well. She's currently on tour and released an EP recently called The Magazine. I hope you enjoy the conversation I had with Zinadelphia. Yeah, so absolutely excited to have an artist I think I've kind of really been following since your single Mirror Ball came out on Spotify and everywhere. Zinadelphia, thank you for taking the time today. Appreciate you talking with us. How have things been?
Things are good. Things are really busy lately, but it's been all good and I'm enjoying it. How are you?
Good. Yeah, things have been a little rough at times, but we're making it work. So I guess I'm kind of curious, when did you first start making music in general?
I guess, like I've been doing whole like playing in my basement or playing after school type thing for my whole life. But then I did like this school of rock and when I was in high school and like started performing, but it really wasn't until college. I went to Temple, it's in Philly, and I just kind of like thing to do was just go to house shows. They have such a strong house show community. So I just did that every single weekend and then made a bunch of friends and then recruited them. And I was like, I want to do this too. And then made a band and then started making music. And then yeah, so I was just like writing on the side and then we were playing a lot of covers and then um, started releasing music like just like really dumb shit that I would like make on GarageBand. But it sounded bad, but like I was like, whatever. And then I released the song Mirrorball as like a class project, basically, and then just like kept going. So it just like kind of like the quality just progressed a little bit every time.
Yeah, I get that. So kind of speaking, to the music you've been releasing, you just released a new EP called Magazine, right? And so kind of what's your mental space around that? Like I know for me when I like work on something and release it, it's kind of like bittersweet. It's sweet because it's out there to the world, but it's also something you've like, crafted for so long. So yeah, just kind of wondering how you're feeling about all that.
I feel really good about it. I think like sometimes in the past, release days have been like doomsdays for some reason because it's just like, okay, this thing that you've been putting, like you poured your heart and soul into, like whole universe gets it and they get to decide like whether they care about it or not. And just hard because you care about it so much, but I'm so proud of this body of work. I've like never felt so proud of something and so me in music. So I've been very excited about it. And I think with that mindset, I was just kind of like, I don't care if four people listen to this project, like in total. Like I am so proud that I did it and I'm proud that it exists. And it like made me excited to keep going and to keep making music. So I think just having that mindset this time around has made the whole like release experience so much better. And I've just been having so much fun and I can actually like appreciate the people who are listening and I'm just like I'm very excited about it. So it's still very good.
Yeah. I think my favorite, like, so I listened to it and I think the coolest thing outside of the music itself is literally like you've turned it into this, I don't know, like literally like a magazine. So for anybody who doesn't have Spotify, all the canvases are like individualized to look like pages of a magazine. I think that's so cool. Yeah, I love, kind of what you've done with it artistically outside of the music.
Thank you. Yeah,
So,
I kind of have a degree in graphic design. So I was just like, let's put my degree to work.
right, right. So obviously, I guess having a degree in graphic design, did you always want to be a musician or is this kind of something, like you had talked about, you kind of fell into?
I always wanted to be a musician. I just didn't want to like admit it to myself because I thought it was kind of embarrassing to have like such a big goal. So I just like avoided telling other people and I avoided like telling myself. And I was just like, well, it's just a hobby. I'll just do it on the side. Just like feel cool. And then I knew the entire time I was just like, this is the only thing I want to do. So I just like majored in a bunch of random shit in college just to like avoid the truth. But then, you know, you always get where
Yeah, 100%. So growing up, what at least for me, I know like there's like specific times where I could like recall musical influences, right? So what was like music that you grew up listening to, music that kind of shaped your sound into kind of what it is today?
Well, I guess my parents, like, they're not big music listeners. Like, my family is like athletic, and I'm not. So we didn't really have a lot of focus on like anything arts in my house, which is totally cool and fine. But I just didn't really grow up listening to anything. But then when I was like 14, 15, I had like a guitar teacher that put me on to just everything that I was missing. And like we wouldn't even like the guitar lessons, I would never even take the guitar out of the case and he would just show me like all this music. And it was the first thing he ever showed me was like Parliament. And I was just like, oh my God, what is this? Like I'm just some random girl. Like I had no idea that this existed and that like changed my life. And then from there I just kind of got into just like everything soul music and jazz and funk and everything. And it was just like this entire world I didn't even know existed. And it totally changed my life. And I mean, I listen to everything, like I'm not a hater of any music at all, but I
Hmm.
definitely gravitate towards that the most.
Yeah. I mean, it's very evident in your sound that there's this like wave of, I don't like calling it retro soul because like it doesn't feel like it does it justice, but it's definitely has those like old school sounds to it that I'm like super akin to. And yeah, just can't appreciate enough, I think, what you're doing in the space.
Yeah.
So what, I guess in terms of making songs and writing music, what does that creative process look like for you? I feel like it's different for anybody, but like I feel like some artists are like my mood has to be, I write better when I'm sad, or I get better songs when I'm happy. What's that look like for you?
Think I feel like I try to write every single day. At least like if I have a thought or a line or a word or anything, I'll just write it down no matter where I am or what I'm doing. I will always stop to write it down. So I try to keep up with it every single day so I can always have like ideas, like just build this like vault. But I think mentally, it's always been easier for me to like just get all of my ideas out when I'm in like a kind of a bad mental place and then actually write about it later on when I've kind of like come out of that. Just because I mean, I make pop music and I'm not making like earth shattering, like, I don't know. I don't need to be writing like about my worst days necessarily and the music that I'm going for, but it is easier like to write about things that I've experienced after I've experienced them, I think, just because it's not as raw and rough and I can like talk about it. So I think there's a lot of stuff on this project that I kind of had to look back on within the last like 2 or 3 years and just kind of like come to terms with like, oh, that happened and that was not good. And sometimes I just like didn't even realize what was going on, but like I didn't even realize how bad of a place I was in mentally. But now being in a good place, I'm able to write about it and not have it like ruin my life. And I'm able to like sing it, every night on tour or something and be okay with it. So
Yeah,
it's like a fine line, I guess.
yeah. I think in my findings of like talking to a few artists at this point, it feels like that songwriting process can be like super therapeutic in ways of like, getting it all out and kind of just having it not in your head anymore. It doesn't weigh as heavy on the head anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
You think there's some level of burnout that comes with being an artist nowadays, with kind of like with everything that it entails? I feel like artists have to be so many different things at once nowadays with like social media and, tours and writing music. And you think there's a level of burnout associated with it? And how do you like kind of combat that?
Yeah, there's absolutely burnout. I mean, I feel that so much recently. I guess like I think it depends on like how much you're taking on like within the creative process and like artists are always like I'm an artist and I'm a writer. not a social media, like I'm not a content creator and I get that. But and I think like that's where I tend to experience the most burnout is just like when it's having to keep up with that whole thing and just like I would love to be able to turn my phone off and put it somewhere for like 2 weeks and just not look at it, but you can't do that. And that's hard. I mean, then also the burnout definitely comes from tour. But like it's so rewarding. But I try to combat it just with like, I don't know, I always try to be glass half full and like artists nowadays just have this unique opportunity where basically we all have a shot and it just kind of matters how much you put into it and like how much you have to say and how you want to, I don't know, how you want to build that and put it out into the world. I don't know. I think it's just, I don't know, the burnout is real and it's hard to just try to recognize the opportunity that I have. And I'm like, I'm feeling burnt out. I'm just like, somebody else is going to be working harder and they're going to get what you want. I don't know if that's a good way or a healthy way to deal with it, but I just
Right.
try to recognize that I have a really cool and unique opportunity in front of me and just not to take it for granted.
Yeah. I mean, I know at least for me on the social space, like obviously this is like something I do pretty full time at this point. And I like couldn't agree more with like it'd be cool just to turn my phone off for a couple of days. Like earlier this summer, I went like camping like way out, middle of Pennsylvania, nowhere, where you like don't have service. And like the amount of anxiety that first brought was like 3 tons worth of anxiety, it felt like.
Oh,
And then by the end of it, it was very peaceful and nice to just disconnect for a little bit because I'm kind of in the same boat you are. Like, I would like to take breaks, but I also recognize that, like, again, not everybody has the same opportunities I have in the space that I'm doing.
yeah.
So I try to keep pushing through the hard days, even though as hard as that might be.
Yeah, but like it comes to a point where you have to take a break and you have to like refresh and it's nice like to get out, go camping, have no servants. I think those it's so important in like just trying not to focus on like what you're missing and just focusing on where you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Celebrating success is like probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to like figure out how to do. And I feel like uh, it's not talked about enough. Is like it's okay to like be happy with what you've done, and it doesn't always have to be pushing forward.
True. So true.
Yeah, it struggle every day with that, but we're working on it. So
Like,
in terms of like your mental health, maybe outside of just being an artist, what's like your favorite way to kind of refill that cup? So for me, it's like if I'm having a particularly awful day, it's probably like a drive through the mountains with the windows down, the music up. That feels like a very good, refreshing way for me to fill my cup a little bit.
kind of like a similar thing. I just getting out into nature. Um, I'm like I'm a big fan of road trips and kind of just, I think getting out of like your bubble of your room or like your house or wherever you are, and just like going somewhere else or honestly just like hanging out with my friends. I feel like once I'm like in this work mode, I just turn everyone off and then I'm like, oh my God, I haven't talked to my friend in a month. And just like even a phone call or just like a one hangout, I'm like instantly refreshed. And it's crazy like how important just like keeping up with your friends is to stay sane. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, even in like the community that you build with in your space and your fans like that, it's not always as like not to say it's not rewarding, but it doesn't like fill the cup up as much as like people you've known for ever or like you trust with stuff, right? So for those people who don't know, you've recently been on tour with Teddy Swims, Talk, Tori Kelly. Can you just talk about that experience and what you've kind of maybe like taken away from it or learned and, how it was?
Was all 3 experiences were so amazing, and I'm just like, I don't know how I got so lucky to we're almost all, like, back to back in a way, like, over 6 months, and it just went from, like, 0 to 100, when we got that Teddy Swims tour because I had, like, never been on, like, a proper tour before, and I only had, like, a few songs out, and the imposter syndrome was real. I think after those tours and just, like, the response I got from audience and the people who, would talk to me at the shows or, like, continue to follow me after the shows and listen to my music and spread it around, and that was, like, just the most rewarding thing I've ever felt, and just the first time I was like, "Okay, this is something that people are connecting with," and, like, my experiences and what I'm talking about is actually, like, resonating with people, and I don't know, I've, like, never felt so much joy, and I've just fell in love with touring, and I fell in love with those artists and their fans and their communities, and I don't know, it was so imposter syndrome at first, and then, like, after the last run, I was just like, "Maybe I am, like, cut out to do it, like, to do this whole thing," and that was, like, a really cool feeling to experience rather than just like, "Why am I here? I'm, like, nothing compared to these artists, blah, blah, blah." Then after the last one, I was just like, "You know what? Just, like, give yourself a little grace, give yourself time, like, you're still new here, and, like, yeah, you can be cut out for it too. Everyone starts somewhere, and it's a slow build, and it's good to have a slow burn." So,
Yeah. Do you feel like since, Mirrorball came out 2 years ago? Is that right?
yeah.
So do you feel like the growth from there to now has like, it started slow and has just kind of exponentially kind of grown into this where, like you just said, you feel like, you really do belong in the space.
Yeah, it's been, like I can't tell if it feels like every day it feels slow, like it's very slow uphill, which is what I want. But then, like, looking back, I guess, like, just the fact that it's only been 2 years, I'm like, whoa, it's actually grown a lot. But I guess when I'm experiencing every day, I'm just like baby steps. But I don't know. I just feel like I'm in this really cool in between of like having it go like from like actually 0 to 100 is scary, and I don't know if I want that ever. I don't know, the journey is the best part, and I'm having so much fun, so it's just, like, I like taking these little steps, even if it takes
Right.
20, 30 years, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I can never wrap my head around like the like kind of meteoric rise that some people have, like Chapel Roan had this summer, or even like Sabrina Carpenter. I couldn't fathom what that feels like and how much anxiety that could potentially cause.
Now I'm, like, so so feel for them, like, I cannot even imagine what that's like, and even, like, Chapel speaking out about it and saying, "Okay," like, just drawing lines and being like, "This is what I'm comfortable with," and people, like, hating on that is so wild to me, and I don't know, like, I applaud her for creating boundaries is so important because so many artists like don't do that or don't feel like they can do that. So I think she's really cool and she's going to change things for how just the relationship between fans and artists like of that size. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important at the end of the day to realize that, your favorite artist is still just a person, right? At the end of the day, like they're just as human as you are. Like there is obviously like inherent responsibility with that kind of fame, but like I don't think it's to the point where their life needs to be all over everywhere at all times.
absolutely, yeah. I love the separation between like I always like say I have a Hannah Montana life because I have like my artist life and then I have like my life at home and like where I work my thrift store job and that kind of thing. And I really believe in the separation of those two things because I don't know. So I really applaud people like Chapel for like harping on that separation.
Yeah. So So you're born and raised in Philly, is that correct?
Yeah, in like the
No. Yeah,
greater
greater
Philadelphia.
Philly area. So, way off base question, what's outside of Pat's Geno's, what's the best place to get a cheesesteak in Philadelphia?
I'm a bad person to ask that because I've like been vegetarian forever. I've never
Got
had
it.
one.
No,
Like,
got
um,
it.
yeah, but I guess I can't answer the question.
All good. Yeah. I was worried about asking that. I'm like, man, what if, she's a vegan or vegetarian? But I figured I'd ask anyway. It feels like the great debate amongst like I have a lot of friends or a few friends from Philly. The debate is like where to get the best cheesesteak. So figured I'd try with it.
I think it's like the most famous ones are usually the worst ones. It's
Right. Yep.
the consensus that I've heard. It's just if you've heard of it from like across the world, it's probably not that good.
Right. So let's talk about like the song you're, most proud of. Maybe not the most popular one, but just one that you're most proud of.
Mm. I guess there's like a toss up. I think the magazine, which is the title track of my project, is something that I feel very proud I've put in the world. It's like something I didn't ever talk about. It's just like some struggles that I have had for my whole life, and I never thought I would ever make that public. But I always just said I wasn't gonna write about it until the words were exactly right. And just so happened that I felt like I got the words right, and it wasn't like some song that was like inspirational, like you can do this. It was just like this is the ugly truth and this is the way it is, and I don't have the solution to it because I'm not recovered. So it was just kind of this harsh reality of the song. And, like it was nice to switch up from my like pop girl thing and just talk about some real shit. And same with this other one, like Advice from Ray, that just came out, which is like kind of about having, I don't know, differences between like, I have a lot of differences between like my parents and like just some things like that. And it's about like looking for parental figure that you don't have differences with. And just, I don't know, learning to shut down in like certain situations and learning that your voice matters and you have the right to in certain spaces and say certain things. And yeah, so they're just like two songs I hold near and dear to my heart.
Yeah. I think I think I know I personally struggle with the whole, parental figure thing, like childhood less than great, not different time, different subject. But yeah, I think speaking on those types of things, you find that it's a very common ground amongst a lot of people. And yeah, kind of like what I've always tried to do that on, at least in my social spaces, is like speak to mental places and try to be as transparent as possible with very hard things. And yeah, it's like liberating and it's a weird like community that you build around it as well. So
Yeah,
you can see
absolutely.
why you'd be proud of such things.
Yeah, you don't really realize like how many people you know or even strangers are really going through it until you speak on it and then they're like, "Oh, me too." You're like, "Wow, look at this like beautiful thing." Not beautiful, but in a way it's like beautiful that we can all connect on it, but
Yeah,
also like a little sad.
yeah. So kind of now leading off of your EP, you're gonna be headlining a tour soon, right?
Yeah.
How does that feel? Like, I mean, obviously you've opened for a bunch of folks now, but being the headliner of a tour, what are kind of your feelings going into that?
It's I'm super excited. I'm super nervous too. It's a big jump, like playing a 30 or 45-minute set to like an hour and a half set and like having a whole band and like being the person that like people come to see is really cool, but very scary. And I'm like nervous about like putting on a good enough show and like making it worthwhile. Like going to a concert is like a whole thing, you know, you get ready with your friends, you buy tickets, you spend money, and then you like go out and about into the world and like you have to stand in some like sweaty crowd and it's like overwhelming and it's just like I can't believe that all these people are doing that for me. So I just want to
Right.
like make it worthwhile. Yeah, and I just kind of want to find a way of like making it special and making it, I don't know, making it a really fun experience and also like making sure people are safe and comfortable and people
Yeah.
feel like it's a concert that they can come to alone, you know, because I love going to shows alone and I want it to feel like something people can show up to alone. So
Yeah. Yeah. Going to shows alone is like its whole other set of anxieties and like
yeah.
weirdness that comes about it. Like that's something I've like struggled with wholeheartedly for my entirety of my life is like doing things alone and still do. Like I was at a concert a couple of nights ago by myself and it was like felt like I'm just, you're stuck feeling like the most awkward person, but it gets easier over time for sure. And I think the more you put yourself in weird situations that maybe you haven't been in before, the better you usually end up.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like a liberating thing. I feel like once you rip the band-aid off and go to like the first show alone, you can kind of like first of all like keep going and then you just kind of like look around and really realize like how many people are just doing the same exact thing you are. And no, it's just like I I like I applaud people who go alone because it's just like you're really there for the love of the music and you're not there to like get drunk with your friends or whatever. You're just there because you want to hear this awesome music, and I think that's really
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly. So let's talk about what about a song or an artist or, a project that you think more people just need to be listening to?
mm. Well, I know we share this. I love Olivia Dean, and she's like just starting, I think, to like get her flowers, and I I'm obsessed with her. I've loved her for so many years, and I really think she's just like an amazing artist, and
Yep.
I'm I've been like so excited to like watch her grow, and I think she's just about to go even
Yeah.
crazier.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and I absolutely love almost everything that she's puts out. It's yeah, I
Right?
absolutely love what she's doing.
Right, like no skips. There's not one song that I skip
Oh
for.
yeah. Yeah, so good. Missed out on seeing her over here in the States, but definitely
So
sooner or later. Did you?
she'll be back, I
Amazing.
feel like
Yeah.
sooner or later. So
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think you're right. I think she's only just kind of starting to get her flowers that definitely deserving of. So kind of wrapping up here, I'll give you whatever you want to talk about here for the next however long. Plug the tour again. I don't whatever you want to do.
I don't know. I guess I always say this to myself before I it's not really like a plug at all, but I always before I play, I always just like take a second with myself and I just say what you seek is seeking you. And it's just one of my favorite mantras, I guess. I've said it so many times to myself over the years that I believe it so much. And I don't care if it's me being delusional, but I like to spread it because I really think that the world is in your corner. And once you start believing that, things really start going. So, I don't know.
I love it. Yeah, love it. Again, thank you so much for taking the time, half
Of
hour of
course.
your day. Appreciate it. And yeah, if you guys get the chance, please see her on tour, listen to the new EP. Absolutely amazing stuff.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's such
Yes,
a
absolutely.
console.